I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I was pretty vocal about it last year when it was happening, but I feel like last year you were the biggest all-star snub that there was. I don't think there's really any argument about that. Was that something that was disappointing to you last year in the time, or are you using that to kind of like fuel yourself to be an all-star this year? Like when you found out that you weren't an all-star even after some pitchers dropped out and somehow your name still wasn't picked, was that disappointing?
Yeah, it was extremely disappointing, honestly. I had I had like bought a suit and everything, and I was preparing just because I think I was like either first or second in strikeouts, top couple in ERA, and a bunch of different stats. So in my mind, which I tend to be someone who is pretty cautious with that kind of stuff. Like I don't like counting my you know what's the saying? Go counting your chickens
Chickens
before they
before
hatch.
they hatch.
I don't like doing that. I don't like, but I thought I had played myself into 100% inevitable
Yeah.
spot on the team, but it was one of those things where it fueled me for at least a couple of starts going into that. But I kind of just let it go because it's not worth
Yeah.
being angry over. So it was definitely very disappointing though because it would have been cool to have your first one be in LA and yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where even as a kid, I mean I watched all those games, so it definitely would have been really special.
Have you worn that suit yet, or are you saving it for your first one? That's I inevitably going to come, I hope.
I think I've worn it one time. Where did I wear that? I've worn it one time so far. Yeah.
So last year, I think, was like your first year fully rocking a mustache, right? Is it?
Yep.
I thought it was going to be a 1 year thing and you just were pitching well, so you stuck with it. But I guess ultimately you pitched so well, it's like I got to keep it going. Was that the plan all along, or is it officially sticking around forever now?
Forever, I don't know. It is one of those things where I had such a good year with it that I got to give it another
You got
shot.
to keep it.
So far, it's off to a good start too. So it might be at least the next couple of years. We'll see if I can do that. No, really. I mean, how it all started is I FaceTimed my marketing guy Jason, and I had a big mustache, and he just started laughing. He's like, "Hey, you got to rock that." So I was like, "Yeah, you know what? This is pretty funny. We'll give it a try." And then here we are, over a year later, still rocking it.
All right, so this is probably going to be the hardest question I ask you this whole conversation. Who has the better
Yeah.
mustache, you or Spencer Strider?
Mm, that's tough. I feel like they're pretty similar. Man, I feel like they're pretty similar.
they they are very similar mustaches, honestly.
I'd have to give myself the edge because why wouldn't you give yourself the edge if you had the opportunity?
If there's two people with very similar mustaches and I myself have one of them, you have to give yourself the edge, I would assume, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, yeah, I gotta, his is close, but I gotta give myself the edge.
So last year, Dylan, you ended up, as I mentioned, in that Cy Young conversation until the very last day of the year. You were even a part of that crew on the awards show with Justin and Alec Manoa. Ended up coming in second. How cool was that experience? Still, down to the last day until it was actually selected. You had a chance, and you were in there with guys like my brother and Manoa, some big time names, and you were potentially going to have your name called for the Cy Young Award. Like, how cool was that whole process?
Oh yeah, it was extremely cool. I mean, going into it, I had a pretty good idea of how I thought things were going to shake out. Obviously, your brother had like a ridiculously good year, so it's like, all right, that's probably the type of year that's going to win it every year. So I went in kind of with expectations, and it ended up shaking out how I thought it would. But I'll tell you what, man, doing that live interview on MLB Network was like the most nerve wracking. That was way more nerve wracking than even like pitching at Yankee Stadium or
What?
I'm telling you, yeah, I don't know. It's something about. there's something about like being live like that where it's like you say one wrong thing and you know you're going to be a meme and all this different stuff. So I was like sitting there like, oh God, I got to be perfect with this.
It's given you, I think, PTSD because the first thing you did when you hopped on here is ask if we're live, and you're like, oh, okay, good.
100%.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.